hollers and hills of West Virginia. It's Heavenly Hills Homestead with another episode. Stay tuned. Boom! Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Heavenly Hills Homestead. My name is Ryan. Welcome. So, we got a lot of things going on in the greenhouse, all right, and things are getting a little bit nicer in here, right? We're really starting to work out the issues that we had in this greenhouse, and we're starting to make it feel like home. In fact, it was so nice and warm out here today. I almost came out and laid out in the sun. I almost brought a blanket out here. Just came out to lay out because it was 80 degrees in my greenhouse. 80, guys. Nice, warm. It had peaked at 80, dropped down to 74 a couple hours later, but it was super nice. 80 degrees. January 27th, guys, 2023, we're having 80-degree weather in my greenhouse. So we've been working on some things, and just going to kind of show you, random things here throughout the video. But we've been doing, some maintenance in the greenhouse. We've put up the pole behind us yesterday. We've rerouted some of the wiring in here, so we got better lighting and things, because we do have our lights, our grow lights going, right? So we're happy about that. Everything we're doing is getting in preparation for wintertime growing. Should have been done months ago, but guys, we've been under the weather since October. We have been sick October, November, and December. We finally started getting over that hump about 2 weeks in or so into January. We're getting to feeling better. So yes, we kind of missed a lot of winter growing, and now we're getting close to springtime planting, but we're still in wintertime. And around here, winter usually lasts until May. Okay, April, May time frame, depending upon the year that we're having. And generally speaking, we can typically, count on a May frost, okay? Sometimes they don't happen, but generally they do. We'll get really warm, and then we'll have a cold snap for a couple days, and that's fine. I mean, it's just how it is here in West Virginia. But we can grow in here. If we're hitting on a 20-degree day, 80 degrees in here, then we're doing great, all right? The compost, that kind of compost bin, it's not really a compost bin, but what we did, we took the birdie raised bed and we filled it up. It's a fresh raised bed that's filled up with lots of good stuff. Everything's starting to work, and it's going to start cooking, all right? It's going to start making the goods, as we say. And we're going to be able to benefit from that because the heat that it's going to be able to produce, especially the heat that it's going to produce at night, okay, and keep those temperatures up in here at nighttime. So for those of you who don't know, I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview of what we've done to build this greenhouse, because some of you guys haven't been following us since the beginning in 2021. That's when we built this greenhouse. We built this in March, April, somewhere, I think April maybe, of 2021. It was my first set of videos I ever done for YouTube, and we posted that, and you guys can go see the entire thing. I've got it all put on a playlist, all 3 videos that we did making this greenhouse, okay, this makeshift greenhouse that actually works. We've grown lots of things in it, and it does wonderful. Wintertime, You cannot beat this for Swiss chards and other greens. Cabbages. Last year I grew a humongous cabbage. You could check that out too. Last spring we harvested it. The cabbage was massive. You'll see on that thumbnail I'm holding that cabbage way out away from me, and it's still huge. So guys, tons of things can be grown in this greenhouse. Now, we do have ways to heat this if we need. We can put soil cables back in the ground if we so choose. We can also put heaters in here because I have oil-filled radiator heaters that work wonderful in this little area, getting it all warmed up. Now, this is a 7-foot tall by 14-foot wide by 12-foot long greenhouse, and we're going to tell you exactly how we done it in just a moment. But we're also going to be talking about broad forking and the importance of it, because that's what we're doing in here right now. We are broad forking our soil. We're getting it ready, getting it prepped, because we're going to plant in this stuff. All right, we are going to grow in this stuff, and I am super excited to start growing outdoors in 2023 already. So let's get to it. Let's talk about everything. Here we go. So it's a very simple process, right? It's a very simple construction that we've got here. Basically, we have seven, count them. We got 1, 2, and 3, and then we got 4, 5, 6, and 7 2x4s that are 12 foot long. All right, the construction, you can see, let me turn around here so you can see a little bit better, is nothing more than the frame of a trampoline, a 14-foot trampoline. That gives me my distance as width. All right, so it's a 14-foot trampoline, and I took and split the halves. One half goes on one end, the other half goes on the other end, and that's what makes up this awesome little greenhouse. All right, so all I did is I used the screws that came with it. I screwed it together, and that's what holds this greenhouse together. Then I took my 7-foot long, or excuse me, my 12-foot long 2x4s, and I put one in the center to stabilize it, and then I put my ends on. All right, I put the bottoms on, okay, that very bottom rung there, and then I went on the other side. Come on now, work with me here. Come on, stay with the program. There you go. Then I put that bottom one over there, and then I did the side ones, okay, this one and this one, right? So on both sides, and that really helped to stabilize and sturdy it up. 7 is the perfect number for this. Don't really need more. Now, if you got a bigger trampoline, maybe you would need more, but I don't think so. And then the next thing I did is I just took simple furring strips like this right here, and you can see it arches with the tube, okay? So that's what you want. It's a simple furring strip. It's a 1 inch by 2 inches wide, and it's really simple. I had a bunch of these that I had for tomato steaks, and some of them went bad. I took the bad ones and I cut them up, and they were very pliable because they were wet, and I just pushed them to fit this. Now, I did use self-tapping screws for metal. That way I could go through the wood and it would self-tap into the metal and then screw itself down tightly and snug, and it works great, as you guys can see. And the reason why I added these was so that I could staple, listen to how hard that is, like a drum, okay? So anyhow, you could, if these weren't here, if these furring strips weren't here, you would not be able to staple your plastic, your greenhouse plastic, to the metal frame. There's no way to attach it to the metal frame. So you must have a furring strip screwed down to the metal frame in between each of your support beams, because these right here are basically support beams, okay? They hold the shape and they support. All right, so I have roughly $120 in the lumber, and that was when lumber was very high in 2021. Lumber was through the roof, and probably still is, but I haven't bought any since. Anyhow, no, I take that back. I did buy some last year and it was still high. So anyways, this right here is the full length, like I said, and all it does is allows you to staple and support, okay? So it supports the greenhouse ends, okay? It holds the shape and allows you to staple the greenhouse plastic down. This allows you to staple the greenhouse plastic down to the frame. That way you can put your end caps on and your top on, all right? So that's the simple construction of it. Now, I just have these PVC water lines, very, very cheap. All I did was bought a couple of them and a couple connectors right here, and we put them together. And all those are for is simply to keep it tighter, okay? Just hold the shape a little bit better of a greenhouse shape, right? To kind of get those rough edges, you know, because whenever you put it down tight on the wood, you get a little bit of a rough edge. The water line simply just helps keep the shape and bow it and keeps it really, really tight. So that's why I got the water line, and it works perfect, guys. Absolutely perfect. And I used 3/4 water line, okay, right there. I think you can see it right there. So that's the construction of this thing, all right? It's very, very simple. It took us 3 days to put it together, me and my wife. I put the majority of it together. She helped me with some of the harder parts, okay? And then we stretched the greenhouse. So between the wood, the water pipe right here, and the greenhouse plastic, I have $120 invested in a 12-foot wide, or excuse me, 12-foot long, 14-foot wide, 7-foot tall greenhouse. Guys, it's easy to do, easy construction. Like, again, you can see those videos if you so choose to watch and build. People give away trampoline frames all the time, guys. You can find them. In fact, I've even contemplated making this one another 12-foot longer. If I could find me another 14-foot wide frame, I would add another 12-foot onto this and make me a 24-foot long greenhouse, okay? So maybe we'll do that in the near future, but we're going to talk about broad forking. Okay, guys, broad forking. What is broad forking, and what are the benefits of it? Well, broad forking is this right here. This is a broad fork. In fact, this is our sponsor, Cobra Head. This is their broad fork, guys. It's very, very heavy. I mean, it's some really heavy stuff. It busts up good. It digs well. It's got good handles. I mean, they got good flex to them, but so that you can get and pry. They're not going to break. I've had them under some very good pressure, and nothing has broke so far. I like the design of it. I like the tines. Now, you'll see several different tines, but I like these tines right here. They dig in better. Not that much resistance, okay? And they do well. So all you do is you take your broad fork, you dig it in. Now, we've already did this one a little bit. We'll get in there just a touch further. And you pry up right there like that, okay? And then you just bust up that dirt, okay? And what that does is it helps you to break up your soil. It aerates your soil, all right? And it does it without killing a bunch of your microbes. Every time that we run a tiller, now I understand, tillers are a necessity in some parts, and there's going to be people who are going to totally disagree with that statement, okay? But the truth of the matter is, most of us do not live in soil that is conducive to broad forking right away, and it would take multiple years of coverage and continuations of cover crops, cutting and dropping, piling compost on, etc., in order for us to get a soil that we wouldn't have to till. We have to till, okay? Most of us live in an area where we have to till, but after you did that initial tilling, 1 or 2 years, okay? Do it as least as possible. But after you did that initial tilling, everything should be loose enough and good enough to do a broad fork. Now, that's not saying you can't broad fork fresh ground, okay? But let me tell you something. If I was to have broad forked this, or even broad forked my big pumpkin patch, the 90-foot by 22-foot, if I was to have broad forked those, guys, it would be considerably different than what I'm broad forking right here, right now. And it would have been a lot harder. All right, so it is, you know, there's other ways you could do that. You could get a team of horses and run a plow through it and let it set and all that good stuff. But guys, why struggle? Okay, why struggle? The chances of you having a lot of microorganisms at that point in your ground is slim to none if you're fresh breaking soil. So what you want to do, you want to till it up, right, with a tiller. I got a rock right there I'm going to find. But while we're talking about this, you want to get your tiller, and you want to till it up, okay? Now, after you've got your tiller and you've tilled your soil, all right, and everything, and you got it to where it's manageable, okay, then you can definitely start the process of going on ahead and broad forking from there on out. You don't, because you've got it to where it's a manageable soil. You're not having to bust through all those root clots and everything else, and maybe the junky soil that you may have. Okay, so that's whenever you can start using the broad fork. And let me tell you something. This thing is absolutely great because you're, like I said, you're not killing all your microorganisms. Every time that you plant, and every time that you put mycorrhiza down, and every time that you put compost in, and every time that you use something like mycorrhizae or azos or Prevogenics Mobile Microbes Plus or Prevogenics Liquid Compost, okay, every time that you use something like that, you're putting beneficials into your ground. And every time you take that tiller through that ground, you're killing off all the beneficials that you put in there, right? Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to kill off the very things that are providing you and your family with life, and your plants with the life and the abundance of life that they need? Well, you wouldn't want to. But the problem is that in today's society, we don't know much about stuff like that because we're bombarded with things like Lowe's and Home Depot. I'm not saying that those places are bad. I'm just saying we're bombarded with it because we go there for a product of some sort and we find a tiller. We go to Rural King for food for our animals. We see tillers. We go to Tractor Supply. We see tillers. Doesn't matter where we go. We always see tillers. And everybody, hey, what kind of tiller are you using? And I'm not saying tillers are bad. Tillers are much needed pieces of equipment on the homestead. But what I'm trying to get to you is some of these items we just don't need in excess of, okay? And that's what I'm trying to hopefully convey to you today, is the excess of these products, right? And not needing a bunch of them, okay? And like right now, these strawberries, right? Look at these strawberries. These strawberry roots could have been a lot deeper had compaction not took place in here, right? And I'm taking all these strawberries, I take them inside and I start them, and I either sell these plants or I take and plant them elsewhere in the yard later on in the spring, or I'm going to try to grow some in our exo tower. So you'll see that video coming out very soon as well. But the point of the matter is this little tool right here, okay, is roughly the cost of a tiller. Now we all know tillers are subject to issues, gasoline prices, oil price, issues with the carburetor, etc. Right? So they're prone to all sorts of different issues. This is only prone to the issue of the person working it. If that person has an issue working it, that's the only problem it has. Other than that, this thing is sufficient, 100% sufficient, and you are sufficient, because that's all it needs is you. It doesn't require a carburetor. It doesn't require gas. It doesn't require oil. It doesn't require air pressure in the tire or a plug in the tire if you get a hole in it, right? It doesn't require a mechanic or having to know some sort of mechanic know-how. It doesn't require pull starting or the pull cord popping apart and failing on you. Okay, it doesn't require gears or any of that. It just requires your two hands, your foot, and its forks. And it's that simple. And right there it is. All right, that's all that this requires. This machine, this piece of equipment, whatever you want to call it, is 100% reliable. Okay, it's a great product, and it's really set for the person who wants to get the most out of their soil. As a giant grower, I know that I want the best that I can give my plants, and I want the most that I can give my plants of everything, right? Because those little things equate to big things. Because if you've got 10 different little things that you're not doing, that's 10 different ways that combined make one big chunk of how much weight or how big something can get. You take all 10 of those little things, combine them the right way, and you have now just increased your chances by a lot by increasing those 10 small things the right way. And I believe keeping the soil as healthy as possible by broad forking it is the way to help that. It's one of the ways that we can actually be benefiting us or grow our plants and our soil. Because if we're not feeding the soil, if we're not taking care of the soil can't take care of us. There's no way. Go somewhere that's barren, sand or something like that, and go somewhere that and try to grow in it. Yeah, they might grow, might. Go somewhere where somebody is broadforking and the soil is dark and healthy and happy. You can take your hand and just run it in there, and all they're doing is broadforking it. Guys, guarantee those plants are big, beautiful, and happy. Go check out this other guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But Pete Canaris, I think is his name. And he goes over and talks to another guy all the time. And I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head, but I will in a second. Anyhow, Pete goes over and talks to Jim Kovaleski. Okay, Jim Kovaleski. Jim Kovaleski is from Maine, and in the wintertime he goes to Florida and grows. Now, Pete Canaris lives in Florida, so that's really when he gets to film, Jim the most. But he does go up and see Jim's farm up in Maine, where he spends his summers at. But in September, October, Jim comes back down to Florida, where he starts doing his market growing down there. And guys, you wouldn't believe it. He's growing on like a 1.5 acre plot, and he never digs a hole. He takes his hand, he goes out there, he scoops the dirt out, he puts his plant in, and he goes away. He's chopping, dropping stuff. He's getting, truckloads of compost in there from the city for free every year and dumps on there. This guy has worked the soil for years and years and years, and you would not believe the production that he gets out of his plants. I mean, literally, he's turning things around every 15 days or so, quadruple planting some things. It's just crazy, the stuff that you'll see. Again, go type in the search bar, Pete Canaris. I think it's K-A-N-R-I-S, Canaris or something like that. You'll find him on YouTube. Or type in Jim Kovaleski, Kovaleski, I think. So anyhow, but go check him out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This stuff is crazy that he does. But he feeds the soil. He gives the compost. He chops and drops. He does everything that a person should to increase their chances of the soil being a productive and healthy soil. Guys, there's no reason why in the age of 2023, with all the technologies and stuff that we have, that we should still be out here with a tiller every single year, 15 to 20 times a year, tilling it up and doing that. I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. You got tough soil. I understand. You got real big clumps like this, right? But look at that. That clump is so brittle now. It used to be that clump right there would not have broke up, right? But now look at that thing. After 2 years, that's all I've worked this is 2 years. I'm not even squeezing that hard, guys, and it just falls apart. This stuff would not have came apart 2 years. Look, every time I try to pick one up, it falls apart. This stuff would not have done that, right? It would not have done that a couple years ago, all right? But I've worked at it and worked at it and worked at it, and look at that. Beautiful, healthy soil, and it's getting prettier and prettier every time, right? We're going to come in here. We're going to cover crop this. I'm even going to throw some peas in here, some sweet peas, some snowshoe peas, I think is what they're called, or snow peas, or sugar snap peas, something like that. Anyhow, we're going to throw some peas in here so the kids can eat some peas, because peas grow great in the wintertime around here, especially if I'm getting at 80 degrees in here in the day. And we're going to cover crop it with rye and wheat, okay? And we're going to do all this over here as well. But I just want you guys to understand that this is the best way that we can help our own soil. Cover cropping, broad forking, actually having to work. Yeah, I know it sucks. You might not have time, but if you'll get out there and do this right here once or twice a year, some of the best giant pumpkin growers use this every year, and they're growing massive pumpkins. All right, guys, I'm telling you, it's the little things that count. Like I said, Jim Kovaleski down in Florida with the market garden. If that's your thing and you're a market gardener, again, right here, this stuff pays off. There's too much evidence that suggests otherwise, right? That suggests that it does pay off. It's a kind of a no-brainer. So guys, we're going to get off of here. We're done talking about broad forking. You're probably tired of it now. But if you need a broad fork, all right, I highly encourage you going over and checking out Cobra Head. Go over and check out cobrahead.com. Yes, just like a snake, cobra head. All right, check them out at cobrahead.com. You'll see these for sale, okay? And guys, listen, before I ever made a move to get this, to talk to them, I studied, I researched and everything. And this one right here, for the price and the durability and the reviews that I seen, this one right here was the best one I could find. For the money and everything, this was the total package right here. It is a good broadfork, and you guys can take that from me. You're going to be seeing this broadfork in every patch this summer. Every big raised bed that we have, we're going to use it on those. We're going to use it in all the patches. So guys, I'm telling you, this thing is a workhorse and it works well. All right, so don't be hesitant to buy one of these if you need it from Cobra Head. All right, again, I've checked out all the reviews and stuff. I've looked hard and all of them, and this one right here for the money was the best one. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to continue to broadfork all this before the sun goes down. We're going to get it planted and we're going to get it watered in, and we're going to see you guys next time right here in the hollers and hills of West Virginia. Peace.
Don't forget to smash that like button, that notification bell.
Don't get the
Good job. Here you go. Thank you.
Don't get the
Don't forget to share. Yep. There you go. Good job.
And
And
subscribe.
subscribe.